Beep beep. What is up, guys? My name is Sam World. So I actually recorded the whole fucking start to finish, but sadly I don't know what happened, but my file got corrupt, all 6 gigs of it, so I couldn't edit it. So instead I'm just gonna go over some of the changes I've made to the track. It wasn't really anything crazy. It was more about just fine-tuning some nuisances, I think that's the word, nuisance, and like a little click someone heard, which I was like, how the hell did you hear that? Along with a little bit more of drum work, a little bit more of intro work, not a lot. And then I just played the track through for you guys. So let's go over some of the new changes that we've done. The first thing is I wanted to have this sort of wub first impact in the introduction of the song, sort of had like a brass reverb feel to it. So I utilized an audio effect rack for that to split the signal up for the wub first impact. Here we have the reverb of the wub. So you can kind of hear it there. Let's put it a little louder. Right, so when you hear it, sort of like a wah, 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 wah kind of vibe to it. Now, the reason I like to use the audio effect rack, guys, is because one, it's sort of like using a return track. You split your original signal. So let's with the original reverb that we have already, but now we add this new reverb. And essentially there we just have reverb 100%, delay 100%, and then we have some EQ and a sidechaining to itself just so that it doesn't drown out the original sound, the bwomp itself. This is something I learned from watching a Cashmere tutorial, but essentially all he's doing is creating a return track in the channel. It definitely helps keep things a little cleaner because sometimes you can go a little bit too crazy having too many return tracks, like fill up the damn screen all the way to the left, and trust me, some of my students do that a lot, and that's just because I'm a huge believer in return tracks. But I found a better, cleaner way to do it by watching that Cashmere tutorial. Anyways, that allows us to put a good amount of reverb on it without having it muddy up or mask the initial shot itself. So let's just unsolo the that one. So we're gonna fine tune that. Okay. The next thing we've done is the vocal. We've just done a little bit of a change to it in terms of EQing. I felt like it just had too much mid-low. So when you talk close to a mic, a lot of male vocals will have a lot of like mid-lows in them, so it makes them sound more manlier. But I just didn't find it. As you can see, it doesn't really sound good, so just gives us a way cleaner response. So I decided to do that so that it feels a little nicer as we move along. Okay, next thing is the drums. The kick, we've done a reducement on it, which is a very popular reducement that a lot of people do. It's safe to say I think you could do this to any kick and it's going to sound better, but a lot of times certain people will do it. And when you do it, nothing changes. And all we're doing is just EQing out this little part of the kick so that it doesn't sound too cardboard boxy. So a lot of people tell you always to reduce around 500 hertz. But anyways, if I get rid of the changes we've done, this sounds like what? Notice how the kick just sounds like it fits a little better in the mix with the drums. It sounds like it actually kind of gets glued together with the drums. I just feel like a lot of times that's just due to the bad frequency. I mean, I know certain kicks have that and it sounds cardboard boxy and all that, but I felt that was a good change. Now, during the process of this, I do have SonarWorks, which calibrates your room to your speaker. Your speakers gets calibrated to the response your room gives you. In my room, you can see here, this is a response, that blue thing there. You can see I have a good amount of low-end control here. I have some phasing out here, so that's bad. And then I have a bunch of mid-low response, and then everything else seems to be kind of fine in terms, kind of neutral. However, this can kind of sometimes alter the way I mix stuff, and sometimes you might hear in some tutorials where you're like, well, Sen, you kind of, there's no body to your track because you lowered too much of your mid-lows. This is probably why. So that's why I like to kind of reference on and off as I make some of these changes in the mid-low areas of the thing. So when I did the kick or the vocal, I was making sure to A and B that so that I made sure that it wasn't a bit too much. It's definitely a very powerful tool to have if you don't have your room treated. And even if you do, a lot of times treating it doesn't get you a full neutral response in the room. So it's a good alternative. The other thing we've done is we've made the drums sound a little bit more UK bassy by making them sound a little bit more aggressive. So all we've really done is on the open hat, I reworked the transient shaper we put. We put a bit of attack to it, and I felt like it was just making it sound too rather than so we've done that. We've switched up the saturation a bit so that it pushes a little harder, as well as getting rid of more of the lows. Because it used to be like this. And that's, you know, open hats, you're allowed to, they can hit those frequencies, but I feel like it sounds a little better to my ears when we have it that way. And then now the close hat has also been revamped, so it's just pushing again the saturator a little bit more with a hard curve setting, which pushes it really hard. We've also shortened it, so instead of having this, we get more of that. And then that's all we've done there. So the last thing is we did add a glue compressor to the drums, and I did explain that if you ever want to glue stuff together, the best ratio to have with a glue compressor is always going to be 2 to 1. It's always good to start there. Essentially what you're doing with a glue compressor is you're trying to tame peaks and you're trying to tame dynamics. A lot of times when you try to level your clap and your open hat to sound kind of similar or leveled properly so that they sound gelled together, what tends to happen is that you can't find a perfect balance. So that's where a glue compressor comes in, as this is going to give you sort of volume automations that controls the peaks. The reason a lot of the times your tracks just don't sound tight is because you have certain sounds that peak louder than other sounds too much, to a point where certain things will sound quiet, certain things super loud, certain things in the middle, and that creates sort of like an imbalance. So that's where glue compressors or compressors in general come into play. Now with the glue, what you're trying to do is compress, but you're not trying to do this, because essentially you're always compressing. You want the compressor to go back to 0. That is always a goal. So next time you compress, don't ride the compressor, as many people would say. You're a man. You get ridden. Okay, no, fuck. Yeah, I don't want to say that. Those kind of jokes, guys. It's too much sensitivity out there nowadays. But anyways, that's one of the reasons there that we kind of added that. As we move along, the next thing we've added is going to be this little transition here. Okay, and I really like that effect there. Essentially, we're doing a mono legato effect with the bass. You can activate mono legato in Serum at the bottom right, mono legato bass level, and you can set always on here. What it's going to do is that as we move from this low note up to that high note, you hear the and then you hear sort of like a pitch bend in a way. So okay, so that's how it's. The vocal was also coming in a little bit too early in terms of the auto filter we have on it, so I decided to clamp down on it more. Okay. As you can see there, I've decided to put the open hats back. What I failed to do last time was I put the open hat here, and that just sounds newbie. You're gonna get rid of that so you get some sort of like a jump effect. So it's like, I know it sounds really cool. Simple things, but that's probably what I needed. So now I like the way the drums sound a lot better on the drop. However, like I was saying, I feel like there's still a little bit of atmosphere that needs to be added and a bit more to be going on so that it feels a little full. The next thing we've done is also in the ear candy section. I've done chores. I call them chores because it's stuff you know you need to do but you get lazy. I've taken off the reverb on lead error, and I've taken off the reverb on the wub, the snappy times wub. And I've routed them to the same reverb that my bass and everything is routed to. And the reason for that, guys, is that a lot of people see reverb as the effect, like the bwam, and you hear the reverb effect. The key thing with reverb is that it can also help gel and make your track feel more unified because you're treating all the sounds the same. They're going through the same reverb. You're placing them all in the same room. Imagine you had like 5 different reverbs and you had a hall, a variation of a hall, a church, a small room, a big room, and then you had them all playing at once or in different parts of the track. It always sounds weird. So you definitely need to have a few reverbs, but not too many. And one of the ways and one of the things I've learned from big guys, you know, watching master classes from big mixing engineers and stuff, is that reverb and delay are a great way to make the track feel gelled together, mixed together when done properly. So that's why we have a return track here that we've been using for the reverb, and that's where I've decided to route some of these sounds to, instead of utilizing the one that Serum gave me in the pre. Crank it up. Crank it up. Bass level. And also the sounds pop out at you a lot better, a lot more. So that's the good thing about that. You don't have swamping them on reverb, because the problem is whenever you have reverb on the sound, you're pushing it to the back of the mix. If you put reverb on a return and have the sound going to the return, it doesn't get pushed as back as much because you're not messing with the dry volume. You're not essentially adding more wet and reducing the dry volume. Okay. With that being said there, I believe that's all we did on the drop. Oh yeah, the vocal had this little click that someone heard, and it was just because of this sample here. You can hear it right now. Crank it up. And there. I don't know how the hell that guy heard it, but a lot of times I will say this, guys. Make sure to hear your tracks through headphones. You'll be able to pick up a lot of those little clicks and stuff like that, little nuisance, let's put it that way, a lot better on headphones than on monitors. No doubt about it. It doesn't matter how treated your room is. It's just easier to pick it up on those, more detailed, more surgical. So there is a place for that, okay? With that being said, we approach the break where we didn't really work a lot on this portion of the track. All I've decided to add is a bit of a delay to that transition and make it a little better. And I've reduced some of the endless smile because I felt like it was just too much reverb. Now, the delay is a great way because it's going to give us, again, that effect. Ping pong and a little bit of the endless smile reverb. A lot of times I've gotten asked, hey, Sam, how can you make that effect where it goes, I love you one more time. A lot of people don't know how to program that, but essentially you're just automating the delay or your return level. And then you're setting what frequency you want to focus on. So I wanted more of the mids there, and then I wanted a ping pong one, which is going to make it bounce left and right. And that helps give it a really nice effect. Okay. I still need to work on some of the vocal chops there, but we'll move forward with that. Crank it up the bass level, up the bass level, crank it up, crank it up the bass level, crank it up the bass level, crank it up, crank it up the bass level, crank it up the bass level, crank it up. You gotta get rid of those drums there, man. That's sloppy. Crank it up the bass level. Crank it up, crank it up the bass level, crank it up, crank it up, bass level, crank it up, crank it up the bass level, Okay, now in the second part I did want to add a bit of variation to the track. I feel like we need more hype shit, like fucking sirens and stuff, like the cops, you know, pulling up like little gunshots or whatever. We'll see what we do, but I felt like this could actually work here. Just sort of like a siren, maybe pitching it up or something, utilizing what we already have in the track, sounds we already have. Again, unifying the Okay, so that's gonna help there a little bit on that, and then everything else. You guys already know what's up with it. Okay, so maybe those are the changes I've made, guys. I did mess around with the endless smile a bit, but again, I feel like we definitely need to have more effects. It's just that I'm scared because I hate relying on effects to make stuff sound hype. I feel like you should definitely try and make it sound hype without effects first before you start throwing in like 5 fucking uplifters and all that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you liked this little format a little better. It was a mistake. Again, I didn't record and it corrupted, so I'm going to edit this for you guys, and hopefully you found this useful in any way or form. And now you know a couple little bit more things, and I'll catch you guys next time for another video. I definitely want to get this finished as fast as I can with this current drop that we have, and then from there I can decide if I want to continue and reworking the drop to make it sound a little bit more night bassy rather than UK bassy, bass housey, or whatever you want to call it. Anyways, guys, you guys take care, and best of luck to you guys. Have fun producing, and you guys have a good night.